He gave me one.
All right, it's 7 o'clock, February 5th, and you're probably wondering why you see a different face here than is normally here. This guy. That guy spent the day in the hospital today. He had a heart procedure done. Hopefully he'll be back very soon. We'll find out more as the days and weeks go by, but I'm sure there'll be some kind of announcement coming out if it's going to be a long-term thing. So try to keep everybody updated. Can we stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So there's a couple resolutions on the agenda. There's a volunteer fire department removal from active role. Anybody have any questions about that? Volunteer fire department transfer to the honor roll. Any comments? No? Call for public hearing for White End for grant administration. We tabled that one 2 weeks ago because we weren't sure when we were going to have this meeting, so we had to table it so we could put the right date on it. So it's on today's agenda. 4 is call for a public hearing for local law number 3. I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn that. The attorney has weighed in and changed some of the wording on it. So I think we all need to take a look at that before we entertain it.
So we'll table that?
So we'll table that until February 18th will be our next meeting.
This is parking
Next
rates.
scheduled meeting, yeah. Approval of elevator maintenance proposal.
What exactly is going on with the elevator? I just rode up in it, so it's functional.
They fixed it.
Oh,
Yeah. I believe it was, the problem was caused by them transferring the stairs from the Opera House and using it. Probably doesn't get used that much.
okay, so it's working.
It is now.
No, it is not.
This is the work they did.
This is to pay them.
Yeah, we need to have a working elevator in the building, so we can say
By
that.
law, we-
If it was non-working, then yeah.
Then we have to close it
He
for a
did
public
say it's a
building.
Band-Aid, so we're gonna wanna keep that in mind when we pass the budget.
And I believe, I spoke to Rick Davis today, and he said that the company that was removing the chairs, they'd be responsible for some of that work to pay for it.
Oh,
The elevator. He has to present the bill to them. Did you hear about that, Ian?
Let's give the bill to Rick now.
he never got back to me about it, so if that's what he
Okay.
said, then I'll show him the bill,
Okay.
yeah.
Because the total was 3,000 something.
34.
3,300.
I think it's a twofold thing. I believe that the panel went out to.
The panel did go up.
You're right, Chuck.
And they had got, I think they found a used panel for now. That's why it's just a
Right.
Band-Aid. But Anne Marie's right, it has to be an elevator because there's one here. It has to be operating for us to do business.
Right. And I believe Rick Davis is going to take a look at the company that removed the chairs to see.
Yeah, it was
send them
part
the
of it,
bill
there was a lot of
to cover.
stuff, chassis and stuff back, so I know that was part of it.
Right.
Did Rick give us any indication of what the non-band aid portion might cost?
No,
Okay.
no.
If they're gonna agree to pay for some of it, then I don't think we can pass it because we have the cost on
Maybe.
there, and we may not be paying that whole cost.
It
Maybe
does
we
say it's a not to exceed cost. So it's,
Does it?
yeah, so if we pass it as a not to exceed,
No, it's not a not to exceed
It
cost,
doesn't
but we
say
could
that.
add that,
Well,
we could
no.
amend it to say that.
on their paperwork, it does say that.
Would you rather amend the one we have to say not to exceed or table it until we find out if we're gonna pay
Maybe
something?
let's table it until we get all the information.
All right.
I think that would be appropriate.
You're gonna make that motion when it comes up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I see one more here at the end for Auctions International. Our contract with them is expired, so we'll have to.
Not on the agenda for the resolutions, but in our packet, the contract for Auction International's, our contract had expired, so we're just signing a new contract with them.
I believe we'll have some things once we clean out the
Yeah.
recreation director's room
Right.
for auction.
Trustee Syracuse, was there a walk-on resolution that you wanted to bring before us?
Yes. Do we want to handle that under old business, or do you want me to do it now?
Talking about resolutions, let's do it now.
Okay. So we, several of us, have been spending, since our last meeting on, when we discussed the new hire for the fire department, going through, looking at numbers over and over again. It was brought to our attention that some of the numbers that we initially had were incorrect. The fire department new hire will not cost as much as was initially proposed. I was also hoping that some of our deficit numbers were going to be incorrect, but it doesn't appear that that is the case. So, because of that, and because it just makes no sense to me how filling a vacancy within the fire department that was already budgeted So because of that, I will be bringing that resolution forward again to vote on. Paul has agreed to second it. So there are plenty of people here who I assume would like to have a thing or two to say in our public portion as far as that goes as well. So we welcome your input.
I did not receive that walk-on
Yeah, if you want to pass
resolution.
that out.
Feel free to ignore my notes. It's just
I believe
the
we
last
voted
vote.
on this already, so you want to vote on it again?
I would like to, yes, given the light of the information that we all received over the weekend, and the discrepancy that of the cost.
Thank you.
I think we have no money. If you have no money, you have no money. I mean, that's why we had to go out to bond.
I understand that we have no money, but like I said, I don't understand how we think that not filling a vacancy and then not filling a second vacancy is then going to cost less than filling a vacancy. Because those hours are still going to have to be covered.
Right.
So you're going to pay 96 hours every week at a higher rate. Sometimes time and a half at a much higher rate.
Well, I believe that's being covered right now. It's been covered for the past 5 months.
Not 96 hours.
Because what happens is when Lieutenant Winters retires, there'll be nobody to take his hours, so we're paying overtime to cover all of his hours
As well
as well.
as the current vacancy.
I would like to wait until Erlissa's back so I can question her on that. I'd like to table this.
The problem I have with it is if we do decide to hire him, we need to send him to training now.
Yes.
Right.
If it happens that in June we decide, you know what, we do have room in the budget, we can hire him now. When is the next academy? Months from then.
I still would like to wait until
So.
Erlissa, our treasurer, comes back to ask her questions on this.
So I guess what I would say was when that resolution comes up, if you want to make a
Motion to
motion to
table.
table it, that would be the time to do it, and then we can vote on that motion.
Sounds good.
All right? This is the time to talk about it.
I think,
I
Do you
mean,
have any
I think we
questions
all
or any
received,
discussion?
we all received the same information. we knew that Alyssa wasn't going to be here, so
Trustee
John and I were in
Syracuse.
her office earlier today, making sure that we had our questions answered.
I was here too to ask her about it, and she told me again, there's no money.
I think we need to sit down again and try and cut some stuff out of the budget as soon as we can. I don't think we should wait for the next meeting.
Did you read my report? And what, my recommendation is we have a special meeting immediately and not to generally talk about what needs to be out of the budget, but what needs to be out of the budget tomorrow.
Yes.
Because we can't wait till the end of the fiscal year, so we'll get to that later. Any more discussion about the walk-on resolutions? Okay. Department head reports. Code enforcement?
The solar law, do we have any idea when that's gonna be adopted? I do have a company that's impatiently waiting for a law. And it was tabled at the last meeting. Is there,
The public hearing went off, okay, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can put it on the next meeting.
is that what you wanted the planning board want to look at?
No. No, we were.
So, February
Yeah.
meeting.
Are they, because last I heard there wasn't any communication with them, have they contacted you about moving forward with that?
Usually every month they'll call me and want to know what's going on. So they're just patiently waiting. They're still going through a couple more easements with the National Fuel for that property, but they're hopeful they'll get them soon. And once they do, they want to be able to move forward. They actually wanted to fast track it, but I won't let them. So I want to have a law in place first. And so they're just kind of waiting. Once I know, I'll reach out to them and tell them that they can start submitting their stuff.
At the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before that, I had brought up HCA's that most solar companies are familiar with. And I printed out a couple examples, one the Ripley solar project, one of the Pomfret solar projects, and another solar project out somewhere west of us. I called the NICOM environmental attorney to speak to her about that, and she said most solar companies are aware and they're very amenable to HCA's. Supervisor Pecos recommended that we talk to the county IDA to set up whatever kind of table that we would like to see. I know a lot of it is dependent on production, and so I don't know if they have an estimation of what their production would be or not.
I'm sure when we start the secret process and planning board site plan process, that would all come up then. And
Okay.
probably the boards, I know Trustee Twitchell usually comes to those meetings.
And
But
I
the
guess,
board definitely.
I guess in the long run, it doesn't really matter what the production is, because we would charge per kilowatt anyway.
Right,
Whether it's 1 kilowatt or a million kilowatts, we
Right.
charge the same rate. Or that would be the rate on the HCA.
I know there's quite a bit of tax revenue that's generated from these. Same as the battery, law that they were trying to do now. Because there's a battery storage facility that wants to come in. Same area, just across the dirt road. And they're looking to come in shortly. But they're waiting for a law.
I understand the planning board was looking at a law.
Yeah, we're working on that. The next two meetings in February, we're going to be trying to hammer something out real quick.
Did you get the fire department input on that?
Yes, they were at our meeting.
Okay.
And I've been in contact with our fire chief as well to make sure that they know everything's going on. And I had somebody from the battery, solar battery company come in and actually gave us a presentation. And I don't think there was many questions. I mean, they're here. I think Fire Syracuse was here. And I think he didn't really have any too many concerns. So,
You
I
guys
think
train on that?
You can.
Okay.
they
You have the
have a lot of
ability to.
fire.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was basically there just to relay information back to the chief.
Okay, I don't know if that was part of your regular training.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was in such the early stages currently that there wasn't a whole lot for us to really have input on yet.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else?
Oh, yeah.
We're all ears.
Sonic is hopefully coming back shortly. I know I thought it would be on the table because of some issues with DOT. There's 3 issues that they're working on now, and hopefully they should be corrected soon. And they did meet the hospital's concern and moved that wall back 10 feet, so that shouldn't be a problem. I've talked to the hospital today, and they're actually coming back in March. I just talked to the attorney. They have a second building they want to put up, or an addition they want to put on. So they're looking for site plan approval. I have 2 use variances that are knocking on our door, probably for March. And as you are aware, use variances, typically if the zoning board denies them, which in the past they have, they go to Supreme Court, and I need to have good minutes for that. I need a clerk. I don't know, if we're going to be under hiring freeze or what, but I can't keep doing my job without a clerk. I've got my assistant doing clerical work. We've got no inspections out there this month, except for stuff that we have to do. I've got no revenue generated. Not that revenue is a big thing, but for a hearing, it helps.
Sure.
But the fire inspections is what, this is the time of year that we're doing our fire inspections. We did 1 last month, because we had all the electrical licenses that had to go out, all the plumbing licenses that had to go out. And, we had other projects that were here, we had other, that had a reporting, we have $1 million months, So I do need help, and I will need a clerk for those meetings. So if the board could see fit to give me my clerk back, I'd appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you. DPW is not scheduled to be here. Fire
I
department.
had some questions for him too, so.
Did you call him to get an answer?
When I call him, I
guess my
was hoping
question-
to see him tonight at the meeting, but I see he's not here.
Personally, I find it easier if I know, if I have a question, I like to talk to him on the phone. And
I don't know why he's not at the meeting.
he had a scheduled absence. He was scheduled not to be here because it's Wednesday.
Called the mayor.
It's not our normal
So
meeting night.
I'll just call him with
Yeah.
my questions.
Okay. Fire department.
We have nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Police department.
I have a few things. January 28th, police officers trained on what's called the detective cam. It was purchased through the New York State E-Tech grant. It's a scientific instrument that allows us to safely analyze and determine what a substance is. Allows us to safely Figures for what I was budgeted for this year. I'm on target with my I'm not over in any budget line. So I'm just wondering, if I don't hire now, I may be without 3 people the rest of the year. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. If I can find somebody, it has to be done now, or the longer I delay, the person gets scooped up by another agency. I'm to the point now where I'm gonna do I have to do the same thing as the fire department. I have to promise them a job and send them to the academy at the village's expense, because I get delayed in hiring people and then they're gone.
When's that retirement?
It may be as early as March, and that'll be down 3 full-time positions.
Did he put in the paperwork yet, or he just informed you that?
Yes, he said I could share that.
Okay.
We have no part-time officers anymore, that's gone away. There's the hiring, everybody gets hired. There's a staffing shortage. We used to have 6 part-time officers. It's 120 hours a week that we used to have.
Is that equal to 3 policemen?
Yes,
6
that's why I asked for another person. The last budget process, I was given it and then it was taken away before the budget was approved. That's why I've asked, because over the years, we're working with less, and now I'm down 3 people.
Right.
So there's, I mean, I need people to put in boots.
Are we doing the hiring freeze right now?
There's no resolution on the agenda.
Mhm.
It will not be on.
Maybe that's something else that we've got to talk to Alyssa about, because,
Well, I think the point is well made by Chief Price.
right,
With a short staff anyway, we'll be down to 2 or 3 patrolmen at a time, and that's not enough coverage, so
No.
it's a discussion that needs to be had
Mhm.
real quickly.
very soon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but there's no hiring freeze resolution on today's agenda.
So am I allowed to interview?
There is no hiring freeze on the agenda, I would say you can interview. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I think while we have
Yeah.
open positions in critical departments, we can't institute a hiring freeze.
Okay.
All right.
My third item is, I believe there's a parking ticket change coming.
Right.
It's not just parking ticket, it's all infractions. That
Did
were
you
in
get a
that- they're
copy?
under that one law.
Did you get a copy
Yeah, they emailed
of the
it.
changes?
Um, It will cost $3,000 to get new tickets. It'll take up to 2 months to get that.
Those, you still have the old tickets, can the fines be written in there?
You can't do that because that implies
Improper.
yes.
Well, I think I had figured before, because you give me that figure, with the original fine, it would take 140 tickets to make up the $3,000. So with the additional fine, it'd probably be closer to, I can't do math that quickly.
I'm not opposed to the tickets. I'm just saying it's $3,000.
Just to be prepared.
Yeah, so I would say once the law, if it gets passed, then we'll order them, then.
Well, what I would have to do is get with Copy Boy because they have to rework the, I can't remember what it's called, but not stencil, but the print. And there may be a charge for that. And then, but it would take a couple months to get ordered. It took 3 months the last time I ordered.
Well, if we can get a date, then we can make that law effective. That date is not effective immediately. We can get it, right, we could do that. Put an effective date on it. Yeah, so we can change the effective date.
All right, well, I would suggest putting it out 2 months, and then whatever's approved, I can give a copy boy and work on the changes.
All right. Yeah,
That's all I have this evening.
thank you. Recreation Department, anybody have anything from?
Just that we'll be starting to move the Recreation Department downstairs. That's why I wanted Scott here, because I wanted to make sure he remembers that we're going to need 2 of his workers next week, starting Monday, to help us move items, to move the cable upstairs.
Can you put it in the elevator to go up?
I don't know.
I'm not sure I want to be going
I
all that
know.
stairway with some of that equipment. But
Well, we'll see what we can do, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
I
you
get
do
it.
the best you can.
Thank you. Anything else? Recreation?
No,
Okay,
not
thank
for
you.
now. Mhm.
Wastewater treatment plant?
We received the results back from our wet testing and everything.
Yeah, we had a hose rupture on Monday, and the replacements that were ordered were on back ordered. I reached out to the vendor, I was told the pump manufacturer is changing suppliers. With that being said, we were advised that there are 2 different hoses in Middleport, so I sent an operator to pick them up instead of them shipping it. Everything has been replaced and working properly, and we're gonna be getting samples and awaiting results.
Okay, so, tonight there will be a testing, or tomorrow morning?
Both.
Okay. Okay. So,
I'm gonna
tonight,
take
tomorrow
them
morning,
to the
and
health department.
then later tomorrow, and hopefully they'll all come back clean and we can
Friday is our goal.
We could ask, right.
go back to waiting for the next one. Anything else, Louis?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Under new business, the Chautauqua County Sewer Use Ordinance Local Law, which is on file in the clerk's office. We're instructed by the county that we need to adopt that law. It's available, it's
It's quite extensive, so I didn't
Extensive.
copy it. If you want to come and look at it in my office, we're going to have to adopt it and let them know when we did.
I did want to speak about that, because that's something I discussed a couple of years ago when Jim Linden was still on the board and we couldn't come to an agreement. But I do want to make a statement on that in October 2024, the Chautauqua County Legislature authorized an extension of the sewer contract between the Village of Fredonia and the Pomfret-Portland Sewer District, which is a county entity. The rate per 1,000 gallons is half of the rate paid by village customers. I believe this authorization is improper since this Board of Trustees did not vote to approve it. The authorization is also unfair to village customers who pay to maintain the wastewater treatment plant and its continued cost of upgrades. I suggest we negotiate a just and fair rate on behalf of village rate taxpayers and vote as board for its approval. And I believe they want us to commit to 30 years on this, which I think is outrageous.
the county does, or the,
The county, yes. I was at the county legislature
Okay.
when they approved that.
I'm not sure that's in this.
It was stated at a meeting.
No, I'm
I
not
can
saying,
bring that
I'm not
to
saying
you.
it wasn't stated, I'm just not sure it's in this particular local law. So what I would like to do is look through the local law and see what applies to us, if anything applies to us, and then whatever it is.
I think the rate should apply to us. I mean, if they're getting it for half the rate that our taxpayers are getting it for, I just see a real injustice in that.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying that part of that contract is not, I don't think, included in this particular local law. I think this is a separate.
I don't have a copy of it.
I don't either, I just saw it. It's
Okay.
available online, right?
I don't
On
know.
our website?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'd like to have a copy of that made, put in my mailbox. And probably for everyone here, so we could all review it, right? Mhm.
I'd be happy with a scanned copy in my email.
Okay.
Yeah, see a little paper.
Why don't we look through it first and see what pertains to us, we can highlight those areas, because if they're talking about Jamestown or whatever.
They passed it.
Yeah.
We don't have choice.
Okay, so the county's already passed it, you're just informing us that's there.
I know,
Yeah.
but the village has to approve of this. Just because they passed it doesn't mean it's going to happen.
If the county passed a local law, I think it's gonna happen.
They can't do that, they can't enforce that upon us.
But-
No.
We would have to see what's in here first.
Right, but they can't
Yeah,
enforce that upon us.
Yeah, that could be something completely different.
No, we can talk
Yeah,
about it more.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Moving on. Any other new business?
I did want to
sorry,
make
go
a
ahead.
comment too, about our SUNY Fredonia water contract. The contract with SUNY Fredonia to provide water and sewer services expired in 2024 and has not been renewed. SUNY Fredonia is the village's largest water customer. It is the largest employer in Chautauqua County. It is a huge commercial entity, and I believe it should be charged the same rate as we charge other commercial entities.
You wanna look at, changing the contract or renewing it with different terms?
Correct. If we could review
Put
that.
on the agenda, please.
Mhm.
Last I knew, the Attorney General didn't approve, I guess is the wrong word, but that contract was never signed.
Right. It just keeps repeating.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Postponed.
Anybody else have anything under new business? The only thing I have is we got a schedule from Labella. They've started the study and the hydraulic modeling. And according to their preliminary schedule, they anticipate that they will be finished by late February. And it would be submitted to us and the New York State and Shaw County Department of Health somewhere around the 25th. And then we would have them come in after that and do a presentation. Any questions about that? Any old business?
Yes, so the committee assignments that we received from the mayor, need to be amended. There are several committees that have 3 people on them, 3 trustees, which we cannot do because that creates a quorum and
We
There's
could
even
do, we
one
just
that has
couldn't all
4.
show up.
so, I am perfectly happy to come off of Public Works and Grants, which would then leave John and Paul for Public Works, which includes water, sewer, DPW. For grants, that would leave John and Ben. Somebody needs to come off of fire, because there's John, Michelle, and Ben. Personnel committee is inconsistent across the 2 sheets. He put one as, he listed as the committees, and that has 1 set of people. And then our individual assignments on that sheet lists somebody different. So I am on personnel, but it's that second person that's inconsistent. It's either Paul or John.
Well, I think he had listed me as the liaison for whatever reason. I don't know what that means.
I don't think that's a thing.
For a personnel committee?
You're usually a committee,
Yeah.
on the committee.
I mean, the only liaisons.
You're the
are for
chair or
outside-
the co-chair.
outside
That's how
organizations.
traditionally it was done.
Yeah.
Can you
And then either Paul or Michelle would have to come off of Safe Streets, because that also has 3 people.
I spoke to the mayor about that, and he told me he was gonna talk to Paul about removing him from Safe Streets. Did he speak to you about it? No.
What was the other one that there were 3 of us and one of us had to decide? Fire?
Yeah, fire,
I was assigned to fire.
you were assigned to fire as well?
Yes.
You got a 3 members, just gonna have 3 people show up.
Holy Jiminy Crickets, alright, so that one has 4, alright, so 2
That's the one
people.
that has 4, right, correct.
So who would like to be on fire?
I would like to be.
Okay.
And, you know, this is the thing, I mean, on my list, fire is John Esperson, myself, and Ben Brockler.
Yeah,
Why don't we each individually take a look at the list?
Can we do that?
Yeah,
Sure.
and then make
I-
suggestions.
I think at this point, we need to amend these before it goes any further and we end up inadvertently creating a quorum. I mean, there's only really 2 committees. Michelle, we were already in a Safe Streets
Yes,
today.
correct.
So Paul, would you be okay coming off of Safe Streets?
Sure.
Okay, so Paul's off of Safe Streets. And then either Michelle or Ben has to come off of fire.
The fire I have is, yeah, John, Michelle, and Ben.
Yeah, that's what it shows.
Yeah, and then listed under Paul on the other sheet he is also listed as a,
Let's
Yeah.
ignore the one,
that has us listed individually.
I think the individual one is the one we need to go by.
I know
So it-
finance and insurance also, I'm on that, and so is Ben and Paul. And I've already,
And on this, it doesn't show Paul on that one.
No.
Yeah,
you know,
okay,
and
so-
I have a totally different copy, so,
So we're looking at the one that lists by
By
committee, not
committee?
by,
Yeah, I think that one's easier to
Okay.
look at.
So, Public Works has me, Nicole, and Paul. I'll step off that one.
No, I'll step off, because you're
Sure,
doing a lot,
okay.
you do a lot of water work.
Fire is me, Michelle, and Ben.
Why don't you knock me off of that one?
Okay,
You guys are way too willing.
oh, that's a hot one.
Grants, Nicole, Ben, and me.
I'll come off of that one.
Okay. And
Personnel is Mayor Ferguson, Paul, and myself, which is fine,
That's okay.
because the mayor doesn't count as a.
He really should not be on there.
Part
I
of-
mean, of course, he could be involved, but
who came
He's,
up
he's
first?
not really part of
not
the,
really
I mean,
he's not
committee.
part of the committee.
No,
Could
Right.
he be a liaison?
I think he
No.
mentioned that.
No.
He just put his.
Committee members
but really,
are
he can, yeah,
trustees.
he can,
Strictly.
he can
Historically.
participate in any of these committees.
Okay, with those changes made, there are now 2 trustees, no more than 2 trustees on each committee.
Yeah, and then, because
Correct.
Paul comes off of streets.
Streets, right.
SUNY Fredonia, the mayor is that 3rd name. Yeah,
I think we're good.
Okay.
Could we ask the clerk to republish?
yeah, we'll need a resolution for that,
Right.
for the next meeting.
Somebody should tell the mayor we've done this before he reads about it in the paper. He has another trip to the hospital, so let's show some courtesy to him.
Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. I got home and I was looking at that list and I wanted to do it at that
Right.
next meeting and then, yeah.
Right.
Any other old business? No?
So,
Okay, with that, I'll close the workshop and we will,
Excuse me,
yes.
the chief is on his way, he wants to speak to you guys at the workshop.
Well,
Has to be,
He can speak to
the
us.
board has to give permission for someone to speak at the workshop.
right.
yeah, I mean, technically, we're in workshop for the next 20 minutes still. We won't be starting the board meeting, so.
He'll be here in about that.
Okay.
And essentially he'd be doing
Yeah.
a report.
Yeah, we'll give him his report time.
Would you okay with understanding this? Sure. You know, I just, because this is what we talked about last time. It's, then it was based on August. This one is based on almost then these numbers show the cost of the bill. I guess in my mind I'm thinking that 21
That's why I want to
This is where, and he's coming, so he should.
Yeah, but Melissa's got to take a look at this to see if it's correct.
So in other words, well, the chief wrote this, so maybe we could ask him to.
But I don't think he fully understands. Yeah. We would need.
Is there like?
They are. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Would you say? Fire department, treasurer, are they?
Well, in compare, they will.
Well, he's gonna defend
I'm sure Melissa was here. She would tell you that it was.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, no, I get it. I figured this out. I didn't completely, I suppose I should have called him. I've been, all day yesterday, working with the water situation.
Oh, I know.
I had a communication with talking to I had a couple of meetings, areas. Yeah, right. No, but I mean, you got to put the right part, given the specs of the whole system. So there's a certain pressure, on these buildings, and explain to me it's a specific.
Okay, meeting's back in order. Chief, would you like to give a fire department report?
I would just like to ask about the apparatus.
It's good to know not on that side anymore.
That has been paid, or what the status is.
The apparatus payment is part of the ARN application.
RAN.
RAN, sorry.
RAN.
Yeah, sorry, application, that's, the cost of that was included in that.
Okay.
Which we approved.
She had to drive that up to FedEx today in Jamestown.
So, yeah, that's part of that.
So that's happening now. We haven't received the money yet, but.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
you have to go out for bid, don't you? To the banks?
I believe that's
For the
right.
bond?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And revenue anticipation note, or is she gonna get, I'm sure she's probably gonna get quotes from 2 or 3 other banks to
Right.
get the rate. And then, so that you can pass the resolution.
She'd let us know what the rates were.
Okay. The other thing, if I might, what I addressed briefly is she's talking about
Jim,
paying
can I
it.
ask you a question? Can I ask your favor? Usually during the workshops, you have time?
Yeah.
So let's wait until you have.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Chief. Like that, we'll close the workshop and we will start the regular meeting at 8 o'clock.
On behalf of the floor, I make a motion to start the meeting now.
Hallelujah, I like that.
Yeah,
Posted at 8, so.
Second.
if there's still somebody coming, you have to wait.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of January 31st, wasn't it? 21st?
Yeah, the 31st was a special meeting.
Okay,
That
so
was the last regular
we
board
don't
meeting.
approve that one?
Not yet. You don't have to
Okay,
have that.
21st, 2025. Now therefore, be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Wandell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson says aye.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak once recognized shall stand at the microphone, state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes of speaking for themselves or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
First speaker will be Doug Essick.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everybody. I would like to speak tonight on the topic of the vacant firefighter position. As municipalities and being leaders in the municipalities, one of your main responsibilities is to provide services for health and safety. And those are essential services. And as I heard tonight, in addition to the fire department, it looks like the police department's understaffed. I guess it would be interesting to have it explained to me how these positions, we have no money for them. If these gentlemen and ladies who were in these positions were still working, you'd still be having to pay them. These were funds that were budgeted in your current budget and appropriated for these positions. So I guess I don't know how all of a sudden now you have no money for somebody who was in positions 4 months ago. What would you do for that person right now? Lay them off because you all of a sudden don't have any money? Those monies were appropriated for and they were budgeted in your current budget. Like I said before, municipalities' leaders are obligated to provide health and safety services, essential services to the citizens in your community. Now, if you're looking at trying to find money, I would look in your budget under non-essential services and budget lines that you have, and discretionary spending in budget lines. So I believe there are probably a lot of places where monies can be reallocated and reappropriated that are non-essential services that we provide. But you can't live in a community where you don't have fire or police or public works to plow the streets or water treatment or wastewater treatment. Those are essential services that you're supposed to provide, you're obligated to provide for your residents in your community. So I would urge this board tonight to seriously consider to approve the hiring of the firefighter recruit so that the training can be performed in a timely manner. If this person was hired tonight, they would be able to go through the fire academy here, start that next week, and then start paramedic training in the future. So thing is, in both in police and fire, specific training. It's not that you can just walk into a job and do something without a specific training. So I would, again, please urge this board to consider filling both fire and police positions and any other essential service positions that we need to fill. This is something that is the most important thing that you need to provide for our community. So appreciate the time for letting me talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Tyler Bayless.
I'll be speaking on behalf of the group.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Bayless, President of the Fredonia Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 2931. Since 1984, the Fredonia professional firefighters have been an important component in providing fire rescue and EMS protection to the Village of Fredonia and Town of Pomfret residents. In 1984, the Fredonia Fire Department handled roughly 1,000 calls for service. The fire department then was staffed with 2 firefighters during the weekdays and only 1 fireman in the afternoon, nights, and weekends. Fast forward to 2024. Our call volume has increased nearly double, and our volunteer assistance is little to none. Over those 4 decades, in addition to the increased call volume, we have been tasked with EMS transports. EMS transporting was something we advocated for to assist in the recovery of costs. This cost recovery was to help our staffing and to better the treatment of village and town residents due to the lack of commitment by the commercial ambulance service. In that moment, the village showed positive reinforced commitment to its employees and residents by increasing staffing and providing better services. Safety comes at a cost, and we understand that finances are tight across the board, but life-saving measures such as staffing for your public safety personnel is no place to cut corners. In 2024, the Fredonia Fire Department handled 2,191 calls, the second highest call volume in Chautauqua County, only behind the city of Jamestown. While accomplishing this, we remained the lowest staffed professional fire department in Chautauqua County and the lowest staffed professional fire department in New York State west of Syracuse. We handled those calls for service with professionalism and in a timely manner despite being significantly understaffed when compared to the area and state fire unions. The Village of Fredonia has already tasked us with doing more with less. Heart disease, stroke, cancer, PTSD, death, and all other significant medical ailments. This might sound like calls that we handle on a daily basis, but this is actually a list of some of the severe long-term medical complications that retired professional firefighters from Fredonia faced and are still facing. Firefighters are 14% more likely to die from cancer, 72% more likely to die by suicide, and 45% more likely to die of a cardiac event than the general population. These numbers are staggering. These numbers are based on the fire service as a whole. Do you think our fire union is more likely to experience items like this from the stress and dangers of our job due to the short staffing and increased workload? I think so. These numbers are a direct correlation between the stress of the job and the injuries and illnesses our firemen are predisposed to. The NFPA, the governing agency for fire protection standards, outlined fire response and for fire departments. You heard Chief Myers talk about these standards at a special meeting this past Friday, reminding you that we have been and continue to miss the mark. Day in and day out, our firemen are doing more with less, and the village continues to turn a blind eye and ignore these standards in the name of financial responsibility. While we understand financially our community could never support a fully staffed fire department, the village needs to understand that the less staff we have makes our job responsibilities harder, passing along the liability to the residents that we protect. At the last meeting, the mayor made a note that people in the village pay taxes for the services that this village provides. In short, when 911 is called, they trust a firefighter or police officer to show up in their time of need. When it snows, they expect the roads to be plowed and salted. When someone in the village or town calls 911, they forecast top-notch care on the worst days possible. Whether they're experiencing a heart attack, they've been involved in a car crash, or God forbid their home or business is on fire, they expect our services immediately. Since 1984, far too long, we've run short and made it work. This feat has come at an enormous cost to our well-being, as I've mentioned. Tonight you have the opportunity to again show your commitment to your employees and your residents by filling a long-term vacancy for the fire department. Since September, the vacancy has plagued the department of short staffing, leading to significant increase in overtime and employee fatigue. Let's circle back on the statistics. Fatigue leads to an increase 13% in error. Is that the type of statistical data that you want your firemen or police officers to go up against in an already stressful and dangerous situation? This vacancy is nearly 4 months old. Your employees are taking the brunt of it, and the taxpayers have no clue how close we are to a catastrophic failure of the system. As if one vacancy isn't bad enough, you are all aware of the second vacancy that is quickly coming in June. The struggles faced by one vacancy will tenfold with a second. Hiring to fill the vacancy today will help get a firefighter trained and put in the line of service just in time to be back behind staffing levels, right back to where we are currently. Do we really want to be behind? The short-sighted thoughts of trying to save the village approximately $25,000 and not supporting your already stressed fire protection services by hiring a vacant spot is dangerous. Trustee Wendell understands safety as a priority from his private sector involvement. Trustee Syracuse does not want to be responsible for having to notify any families that their loved one is not coming home tonight.
Mr. Bailiff, are you almost done?
I've got about 4 sentences left. I apologize.
Nope, that's all right.
Our fire union is uninterested in any further inadequacies in our service. We urge you to make the right decision tonight to hire someone for our vacant spot. If not for us, for the wonderful village taxpayers that rely on us to serve them with the highest level of professionalism and care. The health and safety of our village residents should be the #1 concern of this board. By not hiring someone tonight, the village is knowingly and irresponsibly disregarding NFPA guidelines and putting its taxpayers and employees at risk. I thank you for my time this evening, and I appreciate all your considerations.
Thank you. Mark Twitchell?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Esperson and Board of Trustees. The current boil order is due to a failure at the water treatment plant. I believe this is the responsibility of the Board of Trustees, but the consequences of the failure should not have been yours to bear alone. Plans have been underway for at least the last 5 years to prevent this failure from resulting in a boil order. This past November, the Board of the Northern Chautauqua County Water District announced that 2 interconnections with the village have been completed and are functional. I have 5 letters from different county entities describing the importance of the interconnections. 3 letters are from the district from 2019 and 2020, describing how the new interconnections with the village were intended to supply water to the village in case of emergency. 2 of these district letters state that the cost of the interconnections is being paid by the district. I have 1 letter from the Chautauqua County Department of Health from 2019, which states how important these connections are in providing redundant water to the village in the case of emergency and for the new hospital. And a resolution from the City of Dunkirk in 2020 stating the importance of the new connections to provide reciprocal backup supply of water to both the county and the village. None of the letters state that the village need modify its water system to accept emergency water, yet the connections fail to deliver water as designed and as promised. I am disappointed that the truth of these interconnections has taken so long to become apparent in such a disruptive way. I welcome the potential of the interconnections to be useful to the village. If it is not too late, I would ask you to consider requesting that Labella determine what the village could do at our own expense to make them function as so many of us understood to be at everyone's advantage as intended, while retaining our own water infrastructure. Thank you.
Mark Carlson?
All right, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. Mark Carlson, 102 Center Street. I'd like to talk a little bit about the proposed local law of public parking, specifically when it does with the meter parking. I went through Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday and walked the areas where the meters are, and I wrote down how many cars were parked in a meter area. And I did it in the morning, mid-morning, afternoon, and mid-afternoon, so I got a good spread of what's going on. And these are 4 days. Thursday, there were 47 cars, Friday, 53, Monday, 42, and Tuesday, 45. So out of 188 cars parked at meters, 9 had time on it. And that was it. The proposal here to increase or the $25 ticket with a 15 for over 2 hours, I think is great. I think it's not high enough, but you can put $500 on it. Unless you're going to ticket people, you're not going to benefit. And that's what I'm basically, 4.8% of the people who parked during those 4 days put money in the meter. The other 90, whatever it is, 95.2 basically said, screw it, we don't have a meter program. We don't have anybody coming out. Why should we pay? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the 179 tickets that were parked illegally were fined $25 at a pop, not counting 15 extra dollars if they were there 2 hours or more. That comes to $4,475. Okay, that's a lot of money we can use. The village has a gold mine out there, and people are making the village look like fools. Now, whether you can walk out there and take 2 minutes and you only get out there long enough to write 1 ticket, or maybe later 4 or 5 or whatever, you're going to start seeing these numbers change, okay? There's going to be less tickets, but the good part about it is the money in the meters is going to start going up. The increase from the decrease from the tickets going down is going to balance out with people understanding that we're serious about this. I know all that we're short of people, and by the sounds of it, with the fire department, the police department, it's going to get worse before it gets better. All I'm asking is that take every opportunity that you can put somebody out there to walk through and ticket some people, and you're going to see a lot of difference, and you're going to help your budget.
Thank you. Thank you. That closes the public portion of the meeting tonight. Correspondence?
Correspondence dated January 8th, 2025 was received from Fire Chief Joshua Myers requesting names be removed from the active roles of the volunteer fire department.
Be resolved that the names Krista Hagberg and Karen Tressler be removed from the active roles of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated.
Second.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson? Aye.
Correspondence dated January 8th, 2025 was received from the Fire Chief Joshua Myers requesting names be transferred to the honor roll.
Be it resolved that the names are Steve Lesh, Linwood Drive, Joe, what is it? Kushmer, Webster Road, Dan Smith, Chautauqua Street are hereby transferred to the honor roll and removed from the active roll. These members have served for over 54 years in the department. Impressive.
I'll second that. Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson, aye. Thank you for 54 years of service. That is impressive. Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor's not here, doesn't have a report. Trustee Brockler?
Just a few comments. Mark, the Labella study that's currently being done and should be done hopefully by the end of the month is looking into making that interconnection usable. So hopefully we'll know very soon what we need to do, and we'll be able to do something to make that interconnection usable. And on the parking, I understand that we do not need to have a police officer write tickets. We could have a non-police officer doing the parking enforcement. We might look into that. It would be great to have another source of revenue. Other than that,
Trustee Brockler, do you want to add that onto the agenda for our next meeting?
yes, let's do that.
Thank you. I'm sorry, were you finished?
I am done.
Okay. Trustee Syracuse?
All right. So, I don't know if everybody remembers, but Go Bike, we partnered, the Safe Streets group partnered with Go Bike to do a paint-only project down Central Avenue into the city of Dunkirk. Their report is now available both on their website as well as the village's website. The full board got the link emailed. It's quite a lengthy report. They speak about both the village as well as the city, but I'll be just focusing on our portions. The report begins by giving the history of the pre-project central connection and how Central Avenue looked and was set up prior to the project's initiation, as well as the communities and amenities in the area of Central Avenue. They outlined the results of their traffic study, which revealed that about half the drivers traveling on Central Avenue were speeding. I was pleasantly surprised by the number of pedestrians and bicyclists that they reported. The numbers were much higher than I would have anticipated. The report speaks to their level of community engagement with all age groups as well as SUNY students. Their pre-project survey results were that a lot of our residents are avoiding using Central Avenue for walking and biking, but those who are brave enough didn't feel very comfortable doing so. Next, it went into the project itself, outlining what was installed, and again, it was paint only and where. After it was complete, I thought it looked great when I drove down. It looked like it would encourage small improvements and changes in behavior without drastically changing how drivers see the roadway. Apparently I was wrong, because their report outlined that even though there was less traffic overall, the percentage of speeders increased as well as the rate of speed they were traveling. They did note that this has been a trend since the pandemic nationwide though. The good news is that the number of pedestrians as well as bicyclists increased, as well as their comfort with using Central Avenue to walk and bike on. And while most of the responding drivers are still feeling comfortable in the roadway, apparently a little too comfortable, the end of the report contains future recommendations that we've begun and we'll continue discussing in the Safe Streets work group we met today to talk about our next projects. And to highlight the central connection, a bike ride is being planned from the village down to the pier sometime in the spring. Obviously, we're under a boil water order at the moment. The issue was a blown hose. From my conversations with Lewis, it seems like it's probably a manufacturing issue with a decrease in the quality of the product we've been getting, although they say that it's still the same product. It's causing us to corrode through these hoses far quicker than we previously had been. He did look into other manufacturers, and hopefully that will remedy that and keep us from blowing through these hoses. I understand your frustration every time there is an order. We are also under the same order. We are not immune. We are also village residents. So attacking board members with comments such as poor excuse for a public servant and that we're brain dead are both unhelpful. They're unnecessary. And if you think you can do better, there's going to be 2 seats up for election this year. Have at it. Getting involved is what makes a difference, not making comments on social media. The other elephant in the room is obviously the budget and how did we seemingly overnight get into the position we are in. I've been staring at teeny tiny spreadsheets for days with Alyssa. And the conclusion that I think we've all kind of gathered is we've been steadily overspending our budget over the last over 5 years. We always had a fund balance to fall back on for that overspending. And we always thought that we could just keep chipping away at that, and that would balance our budget and it would cover our cash shortfall at the end of the year. And we did that for a long time instead of raising taxes. However, it finally came to an no longer sustainable point. And to be perfectly clear, it's not just this board's budget that got us here. It's the result of all the budgets over the past probably 10 years that got us here. Think of it as you're checking your savings account. If you just continually rely on your savings account to pay your bills without increasing your income, you're going to run out. And we have officially run out. That is all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Wandel.
Thank you. I'd like to report on 2 committees, the fire committee, which I believe I am assigned to.
Until it's changed.
Would like some confirmation on that. And DPW. So I'll start out with fire. I met with Chief Josh Myers on Monday, January 27th at the Fredonia Village Hall. Notable points include the chief toured me through the fire hall building with an emphasis on our firefighting equipment, including ambulance, transports, fire engine trucks, and various equipment. This included truck conditions and statuses, current maintenance issues, and costs associated with them. Plans to onboard new pieces and offboard older equipment with projected timelines. I'm just highlighting certain notes of our tour. I personally met with each of the 3 firefighters that were currently on daytime duty, and I made a note that that connection is important. Chief Myers pointed out an issue with the fire hall flat roof. It is leaking in the rear section. It is the original roof from the original structure built in the 1980s. Chief Myers made a special point to show how he directly isolates firefighter clothing after a call to soon be cleaned and washed for the purposes of mitigating any toxic or carcinogenic pollutants. Throughout the tour, several references were made to changing and increasing OSHA and NFPA firefighting standards. Secondly, I convened in the chief's office and we had a discussion which included 7 key points. The importance in changing dynamics of OSHA and NFPA standards and the impact on his department's operation. Referencing to the chief's email to the mayor and village board dated January 24th, 2025, many of these detailed items were communicated, which included staffing levels, fire suppression, and EMS operations. Third, potential addition of a new firefighter to maintain minimal staff levels and entering into the academy as soon as possible. Replacement of engine 12, which is 32 years old, and the timing of a new engine this May 2025, coming up shortly. Replacement of Tower 18, which is 27 years old, and timing of new ladder truck within 1 year. These replacements are underscored by aging equipment, high ongoing maintenance costs. Currently, 1 EMS ambulance is out of service for repairs, and 2 others are online and active. The structure of manpower to fight a fire, given our current staffing level, is marginal. These discussion points underscore the immediate status and concerns of Chief Myers with our village fire department. I understand and agree that elevating OSHA and NFPA standards are causing local departments such as ours to react accordingly, and that means assuming costs. This is a time of exploring and renewing our firefighters' union contract and considering all their needs, especially those driven by OSHA and NFPA, and then balancing that with the funding dollars that, well, actually we currently don't have, but whatever is available. Once again, we as a village must be attentive to increasing documental demands, including dollar costs, while keeping a balanced budget that is practical and doable without overloading the impact on residential and commercial taxpayers. And then I'll just get into, sorry it's a little lengthy, but I spent some time on my committee assignments. The second is water treatment plant. I had an engineering company that I invited to just offer some third-party insights. Water treatment plant we toured first. This was last week, January 28th. And the idea was to just get some eyes on our current situation. Examining the existing automation system. It's a PLC automation panel which was quite dated. And that provides the water treatment process functions to be controlled and monitored by the plant's SCADA system. It is quite functional, but the documentation is very limited or close to non-existent. This needs to be pursued, as well as backup software for their automation, which at this point that needs further investigation to see exactly where that is. Basically, if they lost their backup software, that could be a problem, but I'll look into that further. The plant is currently running well, but this was last week. However, a clear focus is upon the needs to update and improve the water purification and chlorination system. Currently, Fredonia water is chemically dosed with chlorine, which is in tablet form. This dosing is done manually based on volume and flow rates. While this is acceptable, it is not ideal. A superior method is to replace the tablet chlorination with liquid chlorine and dose the filtered water under automation control. This approach has been endorsed by Chaco County Department of Health and Labella Engineering. Our plant superintendent is currently investigating and researching this alternative solution as well, and understands the positive impact on the plant purification process. I do support him to generate solutions while working with another engineering company, Motion AI or Labella. This is not meant to overstep, but just to complement the required study to arrive at the best process solutions. Then we visited the wastewater treatment plant. We did a walkthrough of the facility, but 3 areas that we focused on are the following. We explored the pre-existing plant automation system. It is old and extremely outdated. In fact, it is obsolete. If a hardware-software failure were to occur, support is practically non-existent. And the big reason for that is the products that were installed many years ago are really considered obsolete. They do function, but if a breakdown were to occur, we might be in serious trouble. Number 2, therefore, a forward migration path was discussed extensively, including automation upgrades, alarming notification systems with a more comprehensive and integrated plant system. And lastly, this engineering group and the plant superintendent and myself will communicate to just follow up on these things. We are planning a follow-up meeting and just take a closer look at some of the issues and problems that we see. So it's more of a just observation, but proactive approach. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Twitchell.
Yes, and I do want to say that unfortunately it seems that we overspent in our budget this year, and that has resulted in not having any money to go any farther for hiring, both for fire and police. And I really feel that this is important, but I just don't know how we're going to be able to do it unless we could talk to Erlissa to try to figure this out. Because right now we're in a deficit, and we were going to have a hiring freeze. I know we discussed that at our last meeting, and even Chuck LaBarbera is behind in his work because he wasn't able to hire a clerk to help him with his work. So we're able to have more money coming into the village. And this is really a terrible time to be in. And for us to try to figure this out, I mean, I just don't know where the money's going to come from. You know, you can't create money you don't have, but I think we're all in this together right now, and I know for both the police and fire, it's a real hard time right now. And I just hope that we can get through this time. I just don't know where the money is going to come from at this time. And I guess we're going to have to talk more about that. But I also did want to give a report about the New York Conference of Mayors. I attended this meeting in Albany this week, and there are 2 informational sessions I'd like to report on. The first session was on regulations of battery electric storage systems, abbreviated as BESS, B-E-S-S. The presenter was an attorney who helped write New York State regulations for BESS and also advises BESS developers who wish to locate their facilities throughout New York State. The most common BESS are installed as market tools to purchase lower-priced electricity from the power grid at off-peak hours. The electricity is then sold back to the grid at peak demand for higher prices. Although BESS are equipped with safety systems, they can catch fire, and they do catch fire. BESS fires are almost impossible to extinguish, and I'm glad to hear that. You want to learn more about that, Ben. And what I learned was that the fire departments need special training to respond to BESS fires. The presenter stated that the fire department of New York City has safety regulations which he considers to be the gold standard of fire codes. He explained that the fire department of New York City is opposed to placing BESS in residential areas, just as they want to put one in on the end of Clinton Street. I mean, there's houses right down the street from that. I believe that our village BESS law should be separate from the solar law in recognition of the fact that most BESS have nothing to do with storing solar energy. My own research on BESS fires include the large BESS fire in Monterey, California last month. Toxic smoke was emitted, which resulted in contamination of surrounding soil and water. An evacuation zone was declared within a 2-mile radius of the fire, which consists of about 8 square miles. And I just can't imagine this happening to our residents, and I'm thinking of the safety of our residents when I'm talking about this. And in Albany this week, the BESS presenter stated that municipalities have authority to question BESS developers and adopt protective regulations. But he cautioned that New York State wants BESS and that the developers can prevail. He stated, "I make a lot of money by telling towns they must do what they don't want to do on behalf of developers." And I think that's a pretty strong statement. This man was just talking about how to make money for these companies in disregarding what the residents would have to go through if a fire did occur. And I just don't want to think about what that would mean. And I know for the fire department, you say that you've never been trained in electrical fires like this, right? Battery fires? Am I correct about that?
No.
Okay. I really suggest that.
No, I mean, you're not correct.
I'm not?
No, we do have some training as far as lithium-ion batteries and other things like
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm. But these are large batteries.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ben. And the second one I would like to talk about, the session I attended yesterday was titled Strategies and Best Practices for Worker Safety. It stressed the importance of establishing a professional culture within municipalities that features top-down and bottom-up responsibility for maintaining respect and performance of duties that protects municipal officers, their department leaders, their workers, and the community. I had learned of our current water boil order a few hours before entering the session room, and I came away with a better understanding of how this may have been prevented. As a member of this board, it is my responsibility to see that our departments are well prepared to respond to problems. The failure of the chlorination system at the water treatment plant has happened before. I'm sorry that I did not previously speak with this board to ask if we are aware of best practices for maintenance of our chlorinator. We might have anticipated recurrent failure immediately after the last chlorinator repair 2 years ago. We might have followed up on resupply of spare parts or spare units to repair or replace another failed chlorinator. Regardless of which direction this board chooses to go in securing the village's water future, it is imperative that we maintain the safety of our water supply. I was led to believe that the new interconnections, the North County, Chautauqua North County Water District, were designed to provide redundancy to the village's supply. Statements made in 2019 by the Chautauqua County Department of Health stressed the importance of redundancy for both the district and Fredonia. These statements are also assured the village that the interconnections would be made at the district's expense. At no time in the previous 5 years, to my knowledge, has a public statement appeared that the village would be required to modify its water system in order to receive emergency water. Indeed, the village can and has supplied water to the district. Instead, for the second time in less than a year, emergency water from the district cannot flow to the village. And I just want to say, if that was corrected, we may not even had to go through this boil water order. We could have turned on those 2 connections to receive water from North County Water District while the repairs were being done, and also using our tank on Webster Road as a backup. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. So I attended NICOM as well, and just really quick highlights. If anybody walks the village at all, you'll know that crossing sidewalks is hazardous at best when there's no traffic. I spoke with a company that makes flashing yield signs, $800 each. They're solar powered. I'm currently looking for a funding source. We probably have to buy probably 10 of them. At NICOM, we push for SUNY impact funding. There used to be SUNY impact funding, but it was pulled. And that money is allocated to offset costs that we incur by events that happen because of SUNY students or on campus. We provide fire and police support to them. So those, if that fund was refunded, we could be reimbursed for some of our costs. Participated in a seminar focused on lead pipe testing. As you know, every community in New York State has had to report to the state how many lead pipes were detected, and we had turned in our report. And the conversation was around using reserve funds to replace lead pipes leading to a residence. So you'll be using reserve funds to help out a resident or a group of residents at the expense of the other residents who don't need replacements, but you're using up their sewer fund and you would have to raise water rates to replenish the fund. That's under, I think there's a court action going up now to see if New York State AG would allow that to happen. No word on that yet. Also, the seminar just discussing PFAS, different ways to remove PFAS from the water treatment plant. Lastly, a lot of discussion revolved around becoming a pro-housing community. The carrot and the stick have been offered to all communities. The new carrot is the funding that is available through Main Streets and DRIs and different programs. You have to be a pro-housing community to be eligible for any of those programs. We submitted a letter of intent to become a pro-housing community, but that does not mean we're a pro-housing community. We need to follow up and find out what the next steps are that we have to take. And lastly, very briefly, and whatever I say is not meant to incriminate or blame anybody for the position we're in. Financially, we're in this position. It took a long time to get here. There's a lot of people that have been in and out of these seats over the 10 years that I'm going to reference. In 10 years, the taxes have increased an average of 50 cents per thousand a year. There were 4 years where taxes weren't increased at all. In that 10 years, the rate of inflation has been 28%. Personnel expenses, contractual new hires, increased by $2 million, and that does not include benefits. The number of personnel in that 10 years went up by 10. 2 at DPW, 9 with the fire department, and the police lost 1. Contractually, personnel expenses rise at least 3% annually, not including benefits. No tax raises, 3% increase in just those costs. This day was going to happen. Contractual obligations constitute almost 75% of our budget. Sewer and water are budgeted separately. Total appropriations this budget year was $7,412,978, meaning there was less than $2 million that is not already dedicated to contracts. All 3 of those contracts are expiring at the end of May. They will all be negotiated. The fire negotiation team has met one time. We'll meet one other time, and then we'll enter negotiations. This board has signaled that we are amenable to discussing mergers, shared services, collaborations with all our neighboring communities, as long as it makes fiscal sense and no disruption of service. A grant to fund a feasibility study looking at emergency services signed by both the village and the city has been applied for. Waiting to hear the results. Though the comptroller's office has not finished their audit, which they started about a month ago, they've indicated that we have to cut spending. With that, I'm going to request that we have a special meeting in the next couple days to look at specific expenditures that can be eliminated immediately and not wait for the end of the year, not wait for the next budget season. So I would like to schedule a meeting next week. If you could all give me your availabilities, I would appreciate that. And that's all I have. Additional reports?
Yeah, the Fredonia Police Department report for the month of January 2025. Total incidents reported 756. Fredonia Central School calls for service 1. Accidents 17. Arrests reported 29. Vehicle and traffic incidents 112. Domestic incidents 16. And parking tickets 45. And that's all I have for reports.
Resolutions. Hey Ben, or Nicole, before you read that, we can move the time up or back to 5:45 because there won't be a public hearing before that. So let's move that back as far as we can. Thank you.
Alright, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia wishes to hear public comments relating to the Community Development Block Grant CDBG project supporting the renovation, equipping, and furnishing of the White Inn at 52 East Main Street in the Village by DNS White Inn LLC, and whereas the CDBG program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal, OCR, and provides resources to eligible local governments for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low to moderate income persons, and whereas OCR requires that a grant recipient hold a public hearing to provide information to the public and to consider citizen comments regarding CDBG funded projects to help make determinations for the future use of CDBG funds. Therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Fredonia hereby calls for a public hearing whereat all interested parties shall be heard, and be it further resolved that the public hearing shall be held on February 18th, 2025 at 5:45 p.m. in the Village Hall, Trustees Room, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York, and be it further resolved that at least 8 days' notice of such hearing shall be given by the village clerk by the due posting thereof in the municipal building and on the village's website, and by publishing such notice at least once in the official newspaper of the village.
Second.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. I make the motion that we table the next resolution regarding the proposed local law amending violations until we have a opportunity, each of us, to look at our attorney's minor changes to that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
And I as well.
I make a motion that we table this next resolution for the elevator maintenance till we get the,
Information.
yeah, the real.
I'll second that.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
And I as well.
Whereas Auctions International Incorporated having experience in the sale of government assets by online auction, has offered to provide said services to the village. Therefore, be it resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to enter into contract with Auctions International Incorporated for their sale.
I'll second that. Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
For the
So
walk-ons.
walk-on resolutions.
Be it resolved that be it resolved that Bryce Fisher, Sherman, New York, is hereby appointed as full-time firefighter with the Village of Fredonia Fire Department effective February 6th, 2025, at a rate of $22.34 per hour, and will serve a probationary term of 18 months in compliance with all applicable civil service rules and regulations.
I'll second that. Trustee Breckler.
With the understanding that there's gonna be pain somewhere else. Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
I can't see supporting this since our treasurer has told us over and over again that we do not have the money. I mean, if we're going to pass a resolution like this, I feel that the police need a police officer. If we're going to pass for the fire department, I would like to see money for the police, but I will vote nay on this.
We have authorized the chief to advertise for that position.
Right.
A couple of days ago, on this resolution, I voted no based on figures that we were given at the time. Luckily, in the last day and a half, I was able to do a deeper dive into it. I came to understand the impact of overtime, not just financially, but on the officers involved. And I'll say aye. That passes 4-1.
Be it resolved that the request of Fire Chief Joshua Myers to send Bryce Fisher to basic fire training, firefighter training 229 at the New York State Academy of Fire Science, 600 College Avenue, Montour Falls, New York, 14865 at a cost of $3,326 is hereby approved. The Academy starts on February 10th and graduates on May 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Trustee Rockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
And I will vote nay on this.
Okay, and I will vote aye. Passes 4-1. Is there a reason for us to enter an executive session?
No.
No?
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
A second?
I'll second.
Trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Wandell.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Aye.